Hello everyone and welcome to my Season of Discovery Phase 2 Raw Gold Making Guide that you can use in between level 25 and all the way up to 40. In the southern part of Barrens you'll find the spot with hyenas. I know they're not level 25, but as a level 25 character you can easily kill these targets and grant a lot of experience and of course also raw gold from the fur. As an alliance I would instead farm in the middle of Duskwood. Here there's an area with many level 24 to 26 wolves, and yeah, it's gonna be an area only with these, so there's not gonna be much competition as there isn't really a quest for this location. You can also find solid chests, herbs and even different veins at the same time. As you reach level 27, you could instead swap to Ashenwell. The downside is that this is also gonna be a zone where there will most likely be both factions playing at the same time, compared to for example the Barrens or Duskwood. The good thing, however, is that you can stay here all the way up to level 31, and by the time you reach level 31, you can then swap to an even better spot. Else, as an alliance, you could go to the middle of wetlands, where you'll find this location with raptors. This you can also start doing at around level 25, and it can easily be done all the way up to level 30. The good thing is that 2 of these great trash items also vendors for a decent amount of silver. So yeah, you have 2 items instead of just 1 vendoring for a decent amount. If you're playing as a horde and you're still not level 30, then a solution could be to level up in this area in 1000 needles. These serpents drop many different items and you can also skin these at the same time. I would most likely go here if I was playing a character with many different abilities to for example cleave or do AoE, as these are usually also stacked together. Just remember to also have skinning when you do this farm, as you get a ton of heavy leather, and a stack of this is 30 silver. In fact, if you're following this guide, then you gotta make sure you have skinning all the way, as you can probably make in between 10 to 20 additional gold just by having this profession. For those of you planning to farm in Stranglethorn Vale, then remember to also pick up all the different quests where you have to slay these animals, just so you get some additional experience and silver. At the end of these quest chains, you will also be rewarded with some decent items, so it's definitely worth it to do them. Another benefit is that you can stay in Stranglethorn all the way up to level 40. You could also swap zones, and the first zone I would most likely go to would be here in Desolus. Farming the Scorpids, but also the Basilisk, is such a great way to make a lot of gold every single hour. The Scorpids for example drops these 2 items, selling for 5 and almost all the way up to 8 silver each. And when we're talking about the Basilisk, then you have 4 different items you can vendor, in between around 3 silver and all the way up to around 7 silver. I farm in the northern part, but if you move more south, you can also find higher level creatures, so you can stay here all the way up to around 37. However, if the spot is crowded, then another solution would be to head back to 1000 Needles, or well, to Shimmering Flats. Here you can also find Basilisk and different kind of Scorpids. There's 2 big downsides. First off, it's a questing area, so there might also be a lot of competition, and on top of this, it's also a popular spot for people budding. So if there's a lot of competition, then you could always swap back to Stranglethorn and kill these gorillas. This also starts at around level 30, and you can usually stay here up to around 35 or 36. It's not as crowded compared to many of the other spots in the guide. But remember, Stranglethorn is also the home for PvP, so if you play on a PvP server, then you should probably avoid this spot. That's why I'm also gonna recommend you Alterac Mountains, these creatures specifically, but you cannot kill these if you're playing as an alliance, as these will then be friendly, so this is a horde spot only. For all of these materials you'll usually just be vendoring, but the elemental earth can easily be sold on the auction house for around 20 silver or more. So just pay attention to that before you vendor this material. The next farming location takes place in Swamp of Sorrows, and this is also one of my most favorite farming locations in this guide, or well, even prior to reaching level 40. And at level 40 you could also continue to use it, at least if you have leveled up skinning. I usually go here at level 35, and if you would like to, then you could stay here all the way up to 40. I just prefer to swap locations, so you just don't farm the same location for example 5 or more levels. In the same level range, you also have another opportunity. This is to go to Badlands, and as a horde player, you have a nearby flight path and also the opportunity to vendor stuff. If you wish to do this as an alliance player, you will usually have to go to Loch Madan, at least if you wish to fly. Also pay attention to the vendor price for all of these materials. It's so decent, and the drop chance is also usually quite high. The biggest benefit of this zone is that if there's a lot of competition at one area, then in the same zone you can just move a bit to the west, and then you'll find many more creatures to slay. In some cases they're also gonna be higher levels, that's why you could also stay here all the way up to 40. When I'm gonna farm raw gold as a level 40 character in phase 2, then I might even consider going here, but this is only when I need to farm raw gold. In a moment I'll show you all the remaining spots I use in this leveling guide. But talking about a leveling guide, then I would also recommend you this add-on. It's developed by the best speed levelers in World of Warcraft. So if you just wish to reach level 40 as quickly as possible and then farm raw gold, then you should get this yourself. I've posted a link below this video with a direct link to the add-on, and you can also purchase the full version that comes with a lot of handy features. For example, telling you where and how to collect all the new runes in phase 2, and this will be updated for all upcoming patches, so for example in phase 3, phase 4 and so on. By the time you reach level 36, you could instead swap to Arathi Highlands. Here there's gonna be a lot of these elementals, and they drop many different grey items you can vendor, also has a decent chance to drop green items and even elemental earth. Just remember you gotta post the elemental earth on the auction house, as you can get a lot more there compared to the vendor price. And if this spot was crowded, then you could instead swap to this location in Badlands. One thing you gotta know is that the level of these creatures is also a bit higher, so I usually start here at around level 38. At the same level range, and for those of you with skinning, then you could always go back to Stranglethorn, or well, the southern part of this zone. There's a big area with many different gorillas, and there's even a quest for this area as well, so make sure to pick that up in Booty Bay. By this point, you should also be ready to swap to the hinterlands and get yourself to level 40. These wolves drops amazing loot, just pay attention to the 2 grey items, vendoring for around 9 silver and 8 silver. Definitely the best location if we're looking at the vendor materials in the guide. For that particular reason, I'm also gonna highlight the zone for Rallas. At this area, you will find many different bears that also drops items you can vendor for such a good amount. But for those of you paying close attention, then you'll most likely also notice all the different wolves here. These drops the exact same materials as you could get in Hinterlands, so if there was a lot of competition either here or in the other zone, then you could always be swapping around. Alright, so now you're also level 40 and you could start farming these Basilisk in Stranglethorn. 2 materials that vendors for more than 10 silver each. If you're usually interested in raw gold making, or maybe just gold making in Season of Discovery, or maybe even any other content, then I would highly recommend you to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you get notified the next time I post a video.